What you should do as we go into 2020 with your investments. I'm getting this question a lot from different perspectives. Some should they rebalance? Some are worried about a pending market crash. Just some are just thinking that, I don't know, worried about protecting against the election. Take gains off the table, all that stuff. Here's the way I look at this, actually. If we would have fast forward, reversed until 2019 or the 31 December 2018, all the same scenarios would have come to be. Don't forget, at the end of 2018, we had our first essentially bear market since 2011, I think. And a lot of people felt, doom was here. Recessions, growth was waning, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, that didn't happen. Now, just because it didn't happen doesn't mean it can't happen. I just want to be very, very clear there. But you're up 30%, man. I mean, so $100,000 that you had in the market is now worth $130,000 this year. That's $30,000 of gains. All right, so what should you do? Well, here's my suggestion. And take this with a grain of salt, because I don't know your situation. No, come on. No, that's yucky, buddy. For some reason, he just loves to, nasty. Bleh. Some dog had puked and he likes to sniff on it. It's just, bleh. Anyway. So here's my suggestion to you. There's two things to contemplate. I always recommend keeping 3 years of cash. All right. So if you burn through some of your cash, you should take the gains off the table, even if it's a non-IRA account, and pay tax on it as hopefully long-term capital gains to replenish your cash bucket without question. I actually would, when I'm doing this myself, actually, I have some gains on the table. And I'm going to use some of those gains to pay off the remaining consumer debt I have. All right. So, yeah, I'm paying tax, capital gains, long-term capital gains, but I'm going to take some gains off the table in order to pay some debt that we accumulated last year. Not much, but $6,000 or something like that that we've accumulated from student loans and whatnot, student loan interest. And I would suggest you do the same. So if you have gains on the table, and you have your cash bucket has been depleted. Now, look, I don't keep a cash bucket. I'll tell you that right now. I keep about $5,000 in an emergency account, essentially to cover like what we had to get my car fixed. That costs $1,000 deductible, that kind of stuff. So I keep $5,000 in an emergency account. But don't forget, I'm not quote unquote retired, so I'm still working for a living. And so my income is essentially my emergency account. If you're retired, that's different. If you're retired and you're living off your investments, you don't have an emergency account called labor. I mean, I guess you could always go back to work in some crappy old job, but that's not what we're trying to accomplish. So that's why you retired to begin with. So it depends on your situation. But for me, I'm taking the gains off the table, paying the 15% capital gain tax, and paying off whatever debt I've accumulated. Obviously, I still have my mortgage, my big fat mortgage, which I love my house. I just hate the mortgage. I just think about it. This is what I think about all the time. If I had no mortgage, my expenses would be minimal, man. Minimal. Oh, I just can't. Anyway. But you get suckered into it. Maybe not you, but I did. You look at that big old house. It's freaking awesome. Love it. Got all kinds of equity in there. It's fantastic. But I still got the mortgage. That sucker won't be paid off probably ever, because we'll certainly sell and downsize before we're even close to paying that sucker off. Which meant that we had this big fat mortgage for a long time, which meant our expenses are significantly higher. Lower the mortgage, downsize, lower the property tax by downsizing, or have no mortgage, and man, all of a sudden, man, you can live large and a whole lot less income, that's for sure. Oh, I can't wait. Can't flipping wait. All right, so what else? If you're living off your investments and you have 3 years of savings set aside, maybe take some gains off the table and put 4 years. I got no qualm with that. Someone had pointed out on my bucket strategy, my barbell retirement, that it had still in 2000, it still took you 11 years to get back to even if you had money in the S&P 500 on 1 January 2000. And so, whereas that's very unusual, it has happened. The Great Depression, we had 73, 74, all this stuff. We have ample evidence that there's sometimes, it's just bad luck that you're not going to break even on your portfolio for a number of years. So living off 3 years of cash in a bucket strategy, well, hopefully you didn't live, we're going into a 2000 to 2010 scenario. All right, so maybe guard against that by pulling some money and putting in cash. I got no qualm with that at all, none. I think taking gains off the table is the most underutilized scenario a lot. Now, if you're already sitting on a bunch of cash, don't do that. But if I'm retired and I got 30% gains, I'm taking someone's gains off the table and parking cash without question. If I'm working, I got 30% gains. I'm either taking some of the gains off the table to pay down debt, or I'm just letting it roll. That's what I'm doing. And I would suggest you do the same. Should you rebalance? Yeah, I mean, let me do a different video on should you rebalance. All right, we'll see you.